We've already heard about the tech titans, Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, being open to a cage match, but the real battle could potentially play out tomorrow when Meta unveils a text-based conversation app called Threads, coming at an interesting time for Twitter. Of course, Elon Musk paid $44 billion to buy the business, has made some big changes. Let's get some more perspective now from Jim Anderson. He's the CEO of AI software company Beacon and social media lead at Glasswing Ventures. Jim, what are your own expectations for this Twitter clone from Meta?
Yeah, John, I mean, as we've talked before, when you launch a new social network, your big challenge is adoption, right? Who wants to be the first person and the only person at a party? And this is where Meta, I think, has a real leg up on most of the other, desired new social networks. They've got 500 million daily active users of Instagram, and this new platform Threads is going to be off of the Instagram platform. So they have the ability to offer you the ability to import your contacts, follow people you're following on Instagram, on Threads, and vice versa, and really supercharge the adoption in a way that very few companies can.
What is the reason for this? Let's say for Mark Zuckerberg to, even if there is an opportunity to grow an audience here, we mentioned he already has to do this, maybe this cage match with Elon Musk. To have such a competitive battle with one of the most talked about tech entrepreneurs in the world, is there a danger, I suppose, in this launch?
I'm not sure there's much of a danger. Now, that's not to say it'll be successful, right? And I think one of the interesting questions is 12 months from now, will Mark Zuckerberg or will any of us even care? Will Threads have come and gone and we all just forgot it existed? So I don't think there's any particular risk to Facebook or Meta. It may not work, but why not give it a shot? And, given what you said about the cage match, I mean, we've sort of entered an absurd territory here where you've got Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk talking about a cage match, and we're talking about them talking about a cage match. So, I mean, if irrelevance is the worst fate, right? They're just continuing to be in the eyes. And it's one of those things that Meta has probably thought about for a long time and said now might be a good time for us to give Threads a run and see if we can give Twitter a run for its money.
And I guess on the Twitter side, the sort of similar question for Elon Musk, what does he have to worry about with something like this? Aside from the fact that, Meta's been able to make clones of a lot of different products over the years and gain traction with them.
Yeah, I think you just nailed it. I mean, if you're worried about somebody copying Twitter or somehow, displacing Twitter's usage, there's not a very long list of companies that are going to concern you. All these upstarts are going to face that adoption challenge. But again, when somebody like Meta, somebody like Google, if they were to come into this, I'm not saying they would, but you certainly would pay attention. Facebook has the resources, Facebook has the user base, Facebook has the talent and the ability to really, displace Twitter if they can strike, capture that the hearts and minds of users and strike the right formula at the right time to really get that daily adoption, which is really all about.
It's interesting, though. Both of these CEOs have a lot on the go. Elon Musk is quite literally running other companies, including Tesla. I do wonder, does this also send a message about the plan for the company that changed its name to Meta? There was a lot of fanfare around the metaverse. That sort of has died down. The company has really embraced the AI hype this year, and they work a lot of AI into their products. I guess if this was a successful offering, even though it seems to have very little to do with the metaverse, which is part of the long-term plan, they can use that AI technology to show people how quickly they can scale something?
Yeah, without a doubt, the AI is critical to this. And you saw Elon Musk, with his rate limiting of Twitter, which seems very counterintuitive. He's worried about the AI bots scraping Twitter's content. So now all of a sudden, this human-generated content has become vastly more important. I think it's probably more about that and more about the consumer attention and less about the technology. I don't know that Meta needs to prove its technology chops. They've scaled to hundreds of billions of daily users and those kinds of things. So I think it's really more about that consumer attention and how can we make sure on those mobile devices to capture as much of that consumer attention on a day-to-day basis. That's true whether it's in the metaverse, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Threads, whatever Facebook is going to do, you have to imagine it's all about consumer attention.
Okay, so we are going to see this launch. It's expected tomorrow. You mentioned maybe in a year's time we've moved on if it's not successful. How long will it be until we know if this is having or gaining traction?
I'd be willing to bet 30, 60, 90 days, that time frame. You'll see, is the buzz rising or is the buzz falling? And I think, what is it they say about sharks? If it's not swimming forward, it's sinking. I think that's true with the social network, too. If they're not continuing to get buzz and get conversations going about, wow, look at what's happening with Threads, yeah, and we're 3 months into it and nobody's really talking about it, I think that's your answer right there.